You don't get an idea of how large the building is. It's a huge municipal building, very austere. And to see these posters up there when we arrived, for me, was really fantastic. I mean,
like twice as big as life size or something.
20 feet tall at least, each poster.
Yeah, and the thing is, when you take this S-Bahn, which is the above-ground subway, the train goes right across here. You can see the tracks, and so when you're in the car, you see it as you drive by. And it's just a wonderful experience to see these huge posters.
Yeah. There's a great story about this building. This was an officers' club in World War I for the German Army. And when Helmut came back to Berlin, and he was looking for a home for all his work, and I guess the mayor was showing him all these buildings, and they came by this building and was completely vacant. And he turned around and he saw the train station. He says, "I'm home," because he had to leave Germany when he was 13 to escape the Nazis, and the train station he left from was right here. This is his grand entrance. You walk up these stairs to the museum, and then you have these massive, what was this series?
Big Nudes.
Big Nudes. I mean, these prints are, what, like 12 feet tall? They're massive.
Yeah, they're bigger than life size,
Yeah,
right?
they are bigger than life size.
Yeah. Where those images of helmets are, I guess behind them, there were actually portraits of the army, the generals, and there were individual portraits exactly where those were. They just replaced them with Helmut's portraits.
Hanging at the show with Dr. Matthias Harder and Gertie, it took hours to try to figure out the order, and we were trying to make sense of it. And finally, we just kind of let the two guys that hung the show just kind of do it, because that's what they did all the time. They were geniuses, and they did a great job.
The hanging was so professional, and in this image you can get an idea for the interior of the museum, the way it's been all designed, and the floors and the walls are just wonderful, and the people that are working there are just the highest quality.
That's just behind with the video camera, and June had come in and she just said, "This is fantastic." Yeah. She just, she was blown away by the Bauhaus prints. She couldn't believe that they were not silver prints.
Yeah,
she kept going, "These are digital." She goes, "This is better than anything I can imagine." What did she say?
The prints are marvelous.
Yeah.
The prints are just fantastic.
And she says, "This is how," she said, "This is how the show should look."
Yeah.
This is a show.
Yeah.
It was an incredibly intense moment.
Yeah.
Waiting to see
what she was going to think,
what June would say. I mean, we were really excited but nervous, and it was an amazing moment.
This is Mark and June looking at our memorabilia for the first time, and she was just loving it. She had never seen any of this put together and how we did it, and it was.
I mean, we were really quite scared at this moment, because these are very personal items that Helmut had given, like bits and pieces to all of us. They had some original Polaroids, and so we were afraid if she would get upset by us having some of this very personal stuff. Yeah, and and too, the collaboration with Bauhaus there really came together. It was like, and we spent a long time trying to figure out the prints and how and who should do them. And at that moment, we just really realized we'd made the right decision, and everything came together. This is at the dinner, and actually every dinner that you go to with June is an adventure. You don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And she is absolutely the master of ceremony. She is the one that controls the tone and the pacing of the entire dinner. So each time, and as the dinner goes on and more wine is consumed, it gets more and more interesting, more and more intense.
Theatrical.
Yeah, more theatrical and almost confrontational while everybody else is watching. Okay? Now, George's posture here and his look is one of, I think underneath there's a little bit of terror, but he's doing a very good job of keeping a very good face on that. But she's basically pointing to George and telling him he's the one. Right? "You're the one, George. You're the one." And George is sitting there. You want to say anything else, Mark?
Yeah, she goes, "Mark, you're nothing. George is the one."
Yeah, Mark was the Casanova.
Yeah.
I don't know what she labeled me as.
But you were the one the next night.
I was the one the next night.
Yeah, so it did go.
It changed.
If there was only one more night, I might have been the one.
You could have been the one the third night.
June and her entourage walking down the street. She was always surrounded by
entourage.
by
That's
men,
good.
lots of men.
Yeah, she loves men. She loves to be surrounded by women.
All
by
ages.
Men. I think those pictures really show how June connects with certain people that are really close to her. I mean, these hugs are really genuine hugs. These aren't just, oh, hi. And she's like that. Once you sort of get close to her, you're almost a family. You know, I think also, I'll say it, since Helmut has gone, she likes to have people fill that void.
Yeah.
You know, friends that are close to her and that she can trust and rely on and confide in. The whole idea behind this show was that the Sumo book, which was this large, very expensive book, I think it sold for $1,500 originally. Now I think it's selling for maybe $10,000 or $20,000. It is really out of the price range for most people. So Benedict Taschen decided to do a smaller version, which sold for €100, which is about $150.
These prints behind in the whole show, let me just interrupt for a second,
you can
are
interject.
actual. They took apart 2 Sumo books, which they used for the actual entire show.
Yeah, the prints were done, and they were such a good quality that they could be used as exhibition prints.
It's just like an honor that June would let us come and pose next to Sumo. I mean, you know, I just almost didn't feel like I deserved it, but it was really sweet of her to want to pose with us there and everything. So it was really nice.
Yeah.
The lighting that's in the foundation, it's a very diffused and even light everywhere in the foundation. There's no spotlights. There's no lights telling you where to look, or, you know.
It was fluorescent, actually.
Yeah.
And it's not daylight.
Extremely even and very, very kind of pleasing light. Yeah, and there were over 1,000 people that came for the public opening. Yeah.
There's the 3 boys. We clean up pretty good. I wish I was a fly on the wall here and I could hear what they were saying. These are 2 of probably the biggest gallery guys in the world. This is
it's Karash, but what's
Andrei
his,
Karash
what's his first name? Yeah, okay. And
Andre,
then
Tim Jeffries. Tim Jeffries.
looking at George's work.
Yeah.
The possibility of getting those 2 guys to stand in front of your work is very difficult. This is a very edgy German girl.
She didn't have a piece of paper.
George didn't have a piece of paper, so she held out her arm and said, "Autograph my arm." When Helmut was a young man, this is where he worked. This was one of his first places of work, where he worked for the famous, I suppose she was famous fashion photographer Eva. And this was her studio. And now it's been turned into a hotel called Hotel Bogota, and this is where we stayed. So it was like a homecoming. It had a lot of history there. This staircase actually appears in a lot of Eva's photographs, in her fashion photographs. You see the railing and the detail work of this staircase, and so it ties in. So it was really wonderful for us to have all this history and to come back to the place where Helmut worked as a young man, being an apprentice to Eva. I think that what this is not only a celebration of mentorship, it's continuing, and I think that's what June sort of planted here. And she planted this excitement and this opportunity that she gave to us to almost continue this.
She said this show should have legs.
This show should have legs, and right now we're in the process of having it come to Paris. We're in talks with a wonderful gallery in Paris, and of course Bauhaus will be doing all the prints for that. And we're just finished discussing with a wonderful space here in Los Angeles.
Yeah, which could mean a lot of very large prints.
Yeah, larger than life size, and so in my summation would be that this does have life, and this is the continuation of a great friendship and more photography. It's about photography, and we're all very committed to it and carrying on this legacy.